Hello and welcome aboard the Rip Van Winkle. This is your captain, and I'll be doing the steering and light narration for you today. As we make our way out of the Rondout Harbor, I wanted to point out that the Rondout Harbor was once one of the busiest ports located on the Hudson River during the late 1800s and early 1900s. During these booming years of growth and construction, there was plenty of business for steamboats that were plying the Hudson River. New York City was a thriving metropolitan area that needed coal from the D&H Canal, ice that was harvested here during the winter, and building materials produced here in the Hudson Valley such as brick, lumber, stone, and cement. Agricultural products including grain, dairy, livestock, and fruit would have also been shipped downriver daily. Both sides of the creek here would have been lined with various types of businesses and all types of vessels. Steamboats, sloops, schooners, and barges loaded with passengers and cargo regularly left this port bound for New York City. The Rondout Harbor was also the home of the Cornell Steamboat Company, which at its peak had over 60 boats operating in the river, and at that time was considered the largest steamboat company in the country. Off to the left now are two brick buildings that were once used as tugboat repair shops. Now, since the Rondout Harbor was such a busy port, we needed a lighthouse to help mark the entrance to the harbor. The first Kingston lighthouse was built in 1837 on this point of land off to the right. This wooden structure, though, was soon badly damaged by ice and weather, and it only operated up until 1867. A second lighthouse was needed, and off to the right now you can see the old round stone foundation of where this second lighthouse used to sit. It was a two-story building that was built out of bluestone. It operated from 1867 up until 1915, and then the lighthouse had to be moved farther out into the river due to silting problems caused by the currents on the Hudson River.
Hi, I'm George Murdoch. After having been employed at Sing Sing Prison, I came to the first lighthouse in 1856 with my pregnant wife, Catherine, and two small children, George and little Emma. But roughly a year later, I drowned as I was returning home from picking up supplies from town.
I am George's wife, Catherine. It was a sore time for me. No one to help, but the light, taking care of that as I had to, did help me to bear up. I kept on for a month after the funeral, cleaning and tending both lights, and in the winter, after navigation had stopped, some good friends gave me letters, and on I went to Washington with this big boy here, my son James.
Now, the next mansion coming into view now is also off to the left. It's just a little downriver of the Locusts, and this estate is Statsburg. And Statsburg was once the elegant country home of Ogden Mills and his wife, Ruth Livingston Mills. This home is a fine example of the great country estates that were built in the 19th and 20th centuries by some of America's wealthiest families. Ogden Mills was the Secretary of the U.S. Treasury under President Herbert Hoover. The original 25-room Greek Revival mansion was built here in 1832, but the Mills family had it enlarged in 1895 to its present-day size of 79 rooms. There's 65 rooms with 14 bathrooms. This mansion showcases its Beaux Arts neoclassical styling, and the exterior is embellished with balustrades, pilasters, and has a massive portico facing the river. The interior is decorated in the style of Louis XV, with 23 marble fireplaces, fine oriental rugs, silk tapestry, oak paneling, and gilded ceilings. The estate was a little over 1,600 acres and included a private 9-hole golf course. Mr. Mills employed a house staff of 24 and another 10 or so to take care of the grounds. The Mills used this residence primarily during the autumn as a setting for numerous house parties, dinners, and opulent gala balls. On the estate grounds, the family and their guests enjoyed golf, tennis, horseback riding, and yachting. The rest of the year, the Mills family resided and entertained in their other homes in New York City, Paris, and Newport, Rhode Island. In 1937, Mrs. Henry Carnegie Phipps, the daughter of Ogden Mills, gave this mansion and the grounds to New York State in memory of her parents. Right now, this mansion is a New York State historic site, and it can be toured daily and is very beautiful inside.
This was one of 5 homes that me and the wife owned. The Statsburg was where we entertained guests each weekend during the autumn. It was a great place to enjoy the foliage and pleasures of country living. After a day of yachting, golfing, tennis, or horseback riding, our guests would enjoy an 8-course meal at the finest gourmet French food and wine in the mansion's opulent dining room. We had some good times here.
Up ahead on the right-hand side, if you look up towards the front of the boat, up about 2 o'clock, All the way on the shoreline, there's a break in the trees with a red spire that reaches up near the top of the tree line. Now, this estate is Wilderstein, and Wilderstein is one of the most charming and definitely one of the least known of the Hudson Valley estates. Wilderstein is a restored Victorian mansion with a reddish roof and tower that was built in 1852 for Thomas Suckley. The mansion commissioned for this site was a two-story Italianate villa designed by architect John Warren Rich. In 1888, it was remodeled and transformed into a Queen Anne-style country home. A third floor, a multi-gabled attic, circular five-story tower, and a veranda were added in the process. The new interior of the building was designed by Joseph Burr Tiffany, a cousin of the better-known Louis Comfort Tiffany. The rooms of the ground floor were done in the historic revival style and in the aesthetic movement style using materials such as mahogany, leather, stained glass, and linen. The grounds were landscaped by Calvert Vaux, one of the designers of Central Park in New York City. The Vaux firm created an intricate network of walks and trails with elaborate gardens that are adorned with specimen trees and ornamental shrubs. The mansion is probably best known for its stained glass and cut glass windows that were designed by Tiffany, and for its most famous resident, Miss Margaret Daisy Suckley, who was born here in 1891 and lived there up until her death in 1991. She was a close companion of FDR and often worked with the president on his papers and kept him company when he stayed here in Hyde Park.